stop here a little. I want to go to really, you have to read it. It's very interesting. I hope it got you excited. I'm interested really in this part about when I made the correction, Esther, a dash wife. You have to read it yourself. It's very interesting. I have comments here, but Esther, I want somebody to read that because I have to get back to another class. Esther, who? Esther dash wife. Okay.
Poignancy of Esther's plight is almost certainly the most gripping part of the Megillah in purely personal terms. A Jewish girl hoping against hope not to become First Lady of the world finds herself spending 12 months in an alien harem dedicated to the sole purpose of preparing for the king's pleasure. Then she's chosen queen and lives at the center of Oriental intrigue and passion while guarding the secret of her origin and secretly holding fast to her religion. According to our sages, however, the personal suffering of Esther was even more acute. Mordechai took her to himself like a daughter. Do not read like a daughter, but like a home, meaning as a wife. Thus we have a married Jewess who remained married to Mordechai all through her ordeal in the place, simultaneously living with a Gentile husband. As a matter of fact, it was the very circumstance of her ordeal that convinced Mordechai that some higher divine motive lay behind Esther's forced entry into Ahasuerus' grotesque international beauty contest. Esther was a prophetess, a supremely righteous woman, who since she was married should not even have been eligible for queenship according to the rules laid down by Ahasuerus' chamberlain. They violated their own rules by taking married women, but Esther should have merited at least so minor a miracle that she should not stand out among the many hundreds of contestants. Instead, whoever saw her was captivated by her. Mordechai, a prophet possessed of the Holy Spirit in his own right, surely knew that a God-given thread of grace rested upon her, enabling her to win the king's heart. These were unmistakable indications to him that God wanted her in the palace for some higher purpose than merely being Ahasuerus' consort. So Esther remained brave and Mordechai bided his time. We can feel the depth of her ordeal through her prayer and plaint to God as she prepared to break the law by appearing unbidden to beg Ahasuerus for the survival of her brethren. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you changed the order of the world and the order of the Jewish mothers against me? Sarah was taken captive by Pharaoh for one night, and he and his household were punished. I have been placed in the bosom of this evil man for so many years, and no miracles have helped me. Jewish women have 3 special commandments, and I keep them even here. Why have you forsaken me? According to those who held that Esther was married to Mordechai, the plight presents enormously complex halachic problems. She was involved in 2 sins, even though she was coerced, which every Jew must sacrifice his very life to avoid. She was a married woman engaged in adultery, and by living with Ahasuerus, she caused the public Hilul Hashem desecration of the name of God, also a sin that a Jew must give up life instead itself to avoid. There is a third area of difficulty. A married woman who commits adultery is forbidden to her husband unless she was coerced. When Esther went to plead for her people, she went willingly, thus becoming forbidden to her husband.
Rabbi, finish off.
The main Talmudic sources on these questions are Ksubas and Sanhedrin, or Tosfos, and other commentators deal with these matters at length. We will offer no more than a few of their main trends of thought. Anyone seeking a full understanding of the matter should, of course, consult with primary sources. It goes without saying that nothing that follows should be used as a basis for a left decision. Esther was never an active participant in either the sin of adultery or the sin of desecration at any time during her marriage to Ahasuerus. Her righteousness was of such magnitude that her initial revulsion at being forced to submit herself to the king was never in doubt, nor were there the slightest suspicion that it became eroded with the passage of time or the allures of palace life. An important element in any consideration of potential desecration of the name is whether the non-Jew requiring the given act intends that the Jewish victim violate his religion. Ahasuerus was driven solely by passion, not knowing Esther was Jewish. He could have had no intention that she profane her religion. Even after she revealed her identity, Ahasuerus' desire to obtain her as queen was purely a product of his love for her rather than an intention to desecrate her religious beliefs. Until the fateful days when Esther voluntarily presented herself to Ahasuerus to pursue the salvation of her people, Mordechai had no doubts about her status as his wife. Then she feared that Mordechai might suspect her of acting the temptress and no longer wished to remain her husband despite the compelling circumstances under which she acted.
I really wanted to talk about this a little more, but I want to sum up quickly. According to the piece I told you originally, and you have to read the piece before that she comes to make the Tikkun for for Shaul HaMelech. Shaul HaMelech did not kill Agag, and because Agag came human. So in order to make that Tikkun, she came into the world. In order to make that Tikkun, so she really gave up her life to make the Tikkun for her ancestor Shaul for what took place. If that's true, then what would we give the name to Esther? What name would you give? Let's get 1, 2, 3 here. What would you give?
I gave faithful.
Faithful. What name?
Anointed.
Okay. No.
Assertive.
What?
I thought assertive.
So no. Sorry, Fafa. Thank you. Yes. No. Make a stand. Loyal. Okay. No. Let's hear. Well, I can't hear you. You had to write something. Nothing. Okay, blank. Let's hear that there. What do you add in? What? Oh, she didn't know. Good. What do you write?
What did I write?
Yeah. What do you add in on the piece?
I thought she was forced. Of course.
No. You have to talk about this. Is a woman who's a tzaddikas doing one of the hardest things that a life going on. What she's doing, what's happening, questions. She doesn't see God, and the answer is that in the end she understands that she's learning a very high major role in what's happening in the way of understanding of the role, and she wins Olam Haba. And it says in the text that there are women, there are certain women who reach higher than Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, and that is one of them is Esther. Yes. Sacrificial. Yeah, I think more than that. I think she gave herself totally to the Mesiras Nefesh for God and the service of the community. But she didn't lose out because she was true to her nature of filling up her historical role, fixing up what was bad. And she made her Tikkun Shleimus. And I want you to read that. You have to read this. I hold it's a interesting point. You have to change the name. That's the reason why I wanted to do it. Besides that, I gave her the first piece. And you have to read a little bit about the going. Do worry about what the Torah says. God is hidden, but He's really all around. And we have to see God. He has the word Olam. The word Olam means, you got to see Olam means hidden. You have to reveal God. The word Olam means hidden. Nelam, the word we have, because God is hidden. We have to see God. And at the end of time, then what's going to happen? God will reveal His name and reveal Himself. We're looking for the revelation of His name in the world. That's what say about Moshe Rabbeinu. Eventually, missing the name is a terrible thing. And eventually, God's not seen in the world and known in the world as it should be. And eventually, in our days, people knowing about God, knowing about the name, being in the temple, that will be in our days. We'll see that. Anyway, it's interesting. You should read it a little bit on your own. I left out pieces. Took too long, but...
What's the word you want us to put in there?
What?
You said you were going to tell us at the end the word you want us to put in
one of those words that you said, I have to get the rest. Yeah, you can keep them. If you don't throw them away, you don't want to throw them away, give them to me. Because I can use them again. But anyway. I gotta run. I gotta run. Okay.
I'm going home. Thank you. You going home with me? Sarah, you going home with Sarah?
If he feels right, that's doing it.